A to the K.
To the K.
To the K. Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show, and welcome to A to the K. No, that's wrong.
Hey?
Q&A to the K II. That's it.
That's the one. Sounds good.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Yes, it does.
So we're actually celebrating our 3rd anniversary.
Yay, a week
not,
late.
Not me and Anthony. Both
No,
married.
we've been together much longer.
No, we're not married to each other. Why do we keep doing this?
I don't know.
But yeah, you let me know, didn't you? It was like, do you know, we've been doing this 3 years.
Yeah, so it's the Rumble that does it, because we set up our first ever episode was doing Rumble Talk, which is, I don't recommend going back and listening to it, because if you think we're bad now, but we started it on the back of the 2020 Royal Rumble, the Edge returning Royal Rumble, hell of a one to start with.
Yep.
If only we could talk. And yeah, it's been 3 years, would you believe?
Mental.
Madness.
Bloody mental.
So, 3 years of A to the K. What
Yeah.
have you done with that?
Exactly. So we thought, what better way than to give back to our loyal fans
By doing nothing.
So now we thought we'd do another Q&A segments and give
I
us
do have some good fun with these Q&As.
all an opportunity to ask us some
Plus,
interesting
you know
stuff.
what? It's really kind of endearing that we can put a Q&A out there on Instagram, and we have enough friends in the wrestling community that we can actually get some participation there and enjoy some of the questions and some of the fun.
Hell yeah.
Because we've engaged with a few different groups now, a few different podcasts, and I love the community that it builds from that. It's awesome.
No, it's been awesome. And I think everyone that we've had questions from as well, just make sure you go and check them out on Instagram. Go and give them a follow.
Indeed. I think we're going to mention them, who put the question out there. Yes.
Indeed.
I thought we'd do that.
So we will kick off with the very first one, who's come from our pal at Cheap Pop Wrestling.
Nice.
Instagram. 3 years is leather. Name your favourite straps of all time. Fucking love that. Love this question.
That's it. I love the way he's done it as well. Awesome. It's referential. Do you want me to go first? Because I think you know you've always known yours.
Yes.
I'm surprised you don't have it here as a prop. But I would say, do we pick a multiple here?
Can do. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, and this might be a slightly unpopular opinion, I don't even know what you call it, but the belt that I call it the Brock Lesnar belt, because that's the one that sticks with me.
The undisputed belt.
Yes, thank you. The undisputed belt. So after Jericho unified the titles, he carried both for a while.
Yeah.
And then they made the undisputed belt, and I really like that belt.
Yeah.
It's so underrated because people love the winged eagle, and people love big gold. So it's kind of annoying that they did that, but it is a really nice belt.
Yeah.
And that's probably a favorite. I've been tempted more than once to get one, but I haven't yet. So just saying.
Yeah.
Put it on my wish list. I'm kidding. And then beyond that, I think big gold has a place. It's just proper elegant design, isn't it?
Of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's fascinating when you talk about the winged eagle and stuff, because I think my favourite WWE Heavyweight Championship was the undisputed one, same as you. And obviously the winged eagle has got a place in a lot of people's hearts. I always thought it was too small. So I actually preferred the one where it was the big eagle, with
I get what you're saying. To be fair, it doesn't look quite right, does it? In all fairness,
yeah, it always felt a little bit too small for me as a belt. So that's one of the reasons I never liked it. But,
although to be fair, a more feasible belt, I suppose. You can't wear these other belts.
Well, exactly. But I don't know. They look better. But
just trying desperately not to
surprising
Brooklyn Nine-Nine there. It's a cummerbund.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Surprise to nobody. Obviously, the classic Intercontinental Championship. I don't mean the one that Jericho and that had. The one that Bret Hart had, the one that Mr. Perfect had. The one
that Carl has.
The one that I have upstairs in the office.
I think we need to throw a bit of love out to the Smoking Skull belt as well.
Yes.
Mostly because, and we probably already told the story before now, but you owned both actually, but I used to steal your Smoking Skull belt quite a lot.
Yes.
And we were super cool and wore them because we're
people
super cool people. We're super cool people.
In case people think that I grew up with all this money to buy belts, they were
these were the kids' ones. These were we were kids as well, so
belts. We were only 16.
Well, you did have the do you remember the DX hockey jersey? That was awesome too.
Yes, I do.
I bet you don't know where you put that, do you?
No, it's gone. It's gone, unfortunately.
It's a collectible.
It is a collectible. But the classic IC belt. There's never been and there never will be a more beautiful belt than that. I would do things to that belt.
You have.
Oh yeah. I think it's still upstairs. It's stuck there.
Valentine's Day's just been.
You know how I spent mine. But so it's got to be that one. Interestingly, AEW wise, it's probably the main title for me, but I did like the new women's belt.
Yes, I agree. I wasn't a big fan of the old women's belt. The new one, I think, looks brilliant. I will go as far as saying, whilst they're quite unique, I'm not a fan of the style of the TNT or TBS titles. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not a fan.
But the new women's belt's probably my favourite out of them.
I like the All Atlantic as well, but we never really see it. So it's kind of like...
they're not really giving that any credit. And as far as Ring of Honor belts, none of them.
Yeah, and I've got to give a shout out to the European title as well.
Any others?
Always hold a soft spot.
Oh. So, to answer your question, all of them.
Yeah. No, Intercontinental, but definitely the number one belt. The next one comes from Tom Goff 25, legend, been following us for ages.
Indeed.
Will Cody Rhodes win the WWE title?
Now, it's funny because we've just been doing sort of predictions for the Elimination Chamber, and we've been talking about the WrestleMania future, and I think we touched on who was going to be in that match. I don't know if we necessarily talked about the end of that match. And I'm still a firm believer that it's too easy an end to that tale for him to win at Mania.
Yeah.
Come back, won the Rumble, won at Mania. It's like, complete it, mate. Like, I don't know. It just feels a bit too easy. And I'm not saying we should prolong the journey unnecessarily, but I just feel like
it's a shame he hasn't faced more adversity, isn't it, since he's returned?
He's fought Seth.
Won
the Rumble
20 times.
Yeah,
he
won the Rumble
with one arm,
and that's that. Yeah,
came back, won the Rumble, easy mate.
Yeah,
and then now he's going to potentially win the title of Mania.
So for me, I don't know. I feel like the story, not like in a bad way, it could be a longer story. I feel like there's more to. Don't get me wrong. Like, as much as I complain about Cody's promos sometimes, because again, the one with Paul Heyman was fantastic.
Yeah.
I do feel like it almost feels a bit too easy for him to win at Mania.
Yeah.
It could possibly be the result they go for. So I'm not really giving you an answer to the question. Maybe. But
I think he will. I think he's beating Roman at Mania. I think Roman's going to take a bit of a break. As I was saying in the other show, the problem for me is if Cody does win at Mania, where does he go after that story's been told? I think it can go one of two ways. Either they turn him massively heel, he even turns on. Like, what I would love to see, and people probably wouldn't want to love to see this, is I'd love it if he won. Was like, do you know what, that was so easy. I don't know what, why my dad found it so hard. Basically, he turns on his dad, on his family. And obviously, he's the only one who's ever been able to make it.
Yeah.
And Dustin comes back.
I was wondering that, because of the references to... I know Paul Heyman used it to be an absolute fucking savage, but I thought what they were getting at when he said to him about Dusty said that you were his favourite son.
Yeah,
I thought they were alluding to a Gold Dust thing, and then he was like, but Roman was the son he never had, or wished he had, or something. Yeah. I was like, I mean, that was savage, and that was fucking fantastic. But I thought they were getting at that, and it was going to be like and that to me would be a fantastic way to go. He could even become a Paul Heyman guy. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of love there. So what if Paul actually betrays Roman?
Hell yeah.
He's a wise man.
I'd be down for that, to be fair. But yeah, I think that's the trouble. Unless they turn him proper heel, I don't know where you kind of go with it. Unless...
Plus, I've been begging for a heel Cody since AEW. So
the only other thing they could do that would make me happy is if he wins, but then he loses the belt ridiculously quickly. And then it's like, it turns out winning the belt was easier than I thought, but it's keeping it. That's the real challenge.
And then he goes on his journey again, wins the Rumble again.
Basically. So I wouldn't mind it that way, but I do think he's winning it. I think he's... The story, the way they've set it all up, I think it'd be... You have to pay it off now, basically. Yeah. And they keep saying, finish the story.
I kind of feel like, I don't know how long, because that is the biggest pay-per-view of the year, so if you keep the story going, as much as I said, like, it feels like a bit too easy a result.
Yeah.
If you keep the story going, where do you take it, pay-per-view wise? Yeah. What stage do you end it on? Mania is kind of the one, isn't it? Really? So.
Yeah, that's the
he's gonna win. He's gonna win. You sold me.
Sold you on it. So the next one comes from the Running Pod. So go and check those guys out. They're an awesome show as well.
Indeed.
Favorite interview you guys have done?
Oh, ruthless question.
It is a ruthless question.
That's really tough, and it changes regularly.
Yeah.
At the minute. And there's reasons for this I can go into if you want. I really loved the interview with Barry Blaustein.
Yes.
As I know a lot of people probably expect like a high profile wrestler, because I'm still in awe of the fact that we spoke to like the DDP and Devon and stuff, and that's incredible. But Barry Blaustein was just such a lovely guy. Clearly has a real love for wrestling, and it was great to speak to him on that level of like why he got into making the documentary Beyond the Mats, for those who don't know, and his whole sort of career around that and what he's doing now. And he's just such a really cool guy, and I really enjoyed that talk. And again, it's hard to pick any, so that changes frequently, and that's no disrespect to any of the interviews. But at the minute, and I can go into it, but like I'm looking at like we've been talking about long form content and sort of documentary style stuff, and I'm like fascinated by how he did it and what he went through to do it and stuff like that. So I suppose that's why I'm quite like invested in that one at the minute as well. But absolutely really cool guy, and still thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Yeah. I don't know. It changes every week. Like I kind of sometimes just stop and go, God, can you believe we interviewed, and they just come back to me, and I get like that flashback. I think Santino was a cool one. Yeah. Because he just was happy to speak to us even when we stopped filming the interview. He was still chatting just about our kids cool and guy, stuff like that. And he's like, when I come over to the UK, like let's go out for a beer and stuff. Like what an absolute gent. Such a lovely dude. Obviously, Kurt Angle's got to be up there because he's fucking Kurt Angle. Like, exactly. Yeah. I'd never in a million years thought we'd ever be able to speak to Kurt Angle.
And fun fact, I don't know if it'll probably end up in some sort of what's the word, botch reel or whatever, but when we first started speaking to Kurt, we sounded like chipmunks.
Yes, we
did. And he took that in his stride, which was nice.
Yeah, and it's nice that we had the little jokes on email afterwards and stuff, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just an absolute awesome one. And I've got to throw a shout, I'd say with the belts, all of them, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Lady Bird as well, because I think for someone who was relatively unknown in the business, and obviously just for seeing wrestling content, I managed to see some of her stuff and was like, I don't know who this is. I've never heard of her, but she's got something, and saw that she's really new, like relatively new. Wasn't even in the business a year when we spoke to her.
And you've put your money on that, and look, leaps and bounds so far.
She's fucking brilliant. I don't know if you haven't seen the little short video we put on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. She's amazing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like really. Yeah.
She's definitely got a bright future. I know Carl got in on the ground floor with that interview.
Well, WWE scouts were over in the checking out recently, and obviously she's been on AEW a couple of times, so just a matter of time. I think she's gonna,
because she's super talented.
Yeah, she's gonna kill it. So
indeed,
I have to be one of them. I think for me.
Yeah. Fair.
And the next one, Alt Wrestling Tees. Them guys down there.
Nice.
How did you guys get started?
I think I slightly alluded to it, but I love podcasts. I listen to all sorts of random things. I listen to probably trippiest one if no one's ever listened to it, and totally not wrestling related, but I'll just mention it because I'm a nerd. Was Welcome to Night Vale, which is like it's a radio show set in like a town in America that's like everything's really paranormal, but it's just like a matter of life for them, it's fact. And it's really cool, the setup, and I started listening to that, and then you start delving into different podcasts, and you listen to like which came out after us, to be fair, but you listen to like Fake Doctors, Real Friends, the other way around, which is Zach Braff and Donald Faison talk about Scrubs, and I just constantly looking for different, because it's such an easy thing for me to do. If like I'm driving to work, I can put it on, or if I'm in work, I can put it on and ignore what I'm meant to be doing. Joke, by the way. And I don't know, I like having something that I don't have to watch. So that's why we started with a podcast. Because I was like saying to you, we should do a podcast, and you were like,
well, I mean, to be fair, so I didn't listen to podcasts. I still don't, to be honest. Not often anyway. I've always been more of like a music.
You probably listen to them a lot more now.
Oh, I do.
There are other podcasts that we constantly check out. So.
Yeah. It's fascinating, really. So the only real podcast I knew of was the Ricky Gervais show. Yes, and I'd kind of ended up. By that point, they turned it into like a YouTube animated series or whatever. Anyway, so I'd already started seeing that, so I didn't really listen to it, but I knew that was a podcast, and I enjoyed that. And then obviously when Anthony was like, let's set up a podcast, I was like, I have no idea what they even are, really. I'm more of a music guy, but okay. But yeah, now obviously supporting the other creators in the wrestling community, you've got me onto the Scrubs one, so I still listen to that every now and again.
Awesome,
and like even like Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett is a good one as well. But I think for me, it very much depends on my mood. If I'm concentrating on something intently, I prefer music. Because it's almost like I already know all the lyrics.
Yeah, you don't have to listen to it.
Yeah,
if you know what I
whereas
mean.
I feel like I miss it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
so I think
I get that.
Yeah, so I think
you can sort of, you don't have to focus on the music. It's just nice to have. Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, I'm definitely a bigger fan now.
But that's how we started podcasting, and I can't really remember how we started. We were like, like, and not even that long in, we were like, should we put it on YouTube as well? I think we were just looking for different mediums, so we were like, well, let's put it out on Spotify, Apple, all the major podcast places.
Well, I think the first few shows we just put the audio on YouTube.
Yeah, we did. I think it was just with a graphic on the screen, quite a poor one at the time, I think, because did I just put like a visualizer on there or some shit? I can't remember, and I think we were just like, well, that's another medium. Like a lot of people use YouTube, probably more so than podcasting, so we'll put it on there as well. And then it just slowly turned into like, should we do a video and then like the pro wrestling TV thing is just fucking awesome, isn't it? We ended up getting involved in that, and now we're on there.
The thing, like, honestly, I know we're not the biggest like name out there or anything like that. We're still relatively small,
What?
But it's all lies. But yeah, like legitimately, just do it. Like if you don't want to do it because you think
suit by Nike,
yeah, but like. If you don't want to do it because you think it's going to be bad, it will be bad. Like we've just been saying, if you listen to Rumble Talk now, it's awful. I'd never ever listen back to it. It was terrible. And not that we're loads better now, but over time you just get.
I think there's definitely a comfort. You can hear the discomfort, I suppose, in the initial few episodes. But you just got to start doing it, get used to the format. You get like fun fact, we still suck at like closing up. Well, you might be there like, oh, you suck at everything, thanks, but we still suck at like the sign off, so we don't know what to say, so it's just like bye, because like what, like, do you come up with a gimmicky catchphrase? I don't know. So like we've both tried it and it's like so there's still stuff that doesn't quite work, but I think there's just a level of comfort with how long we've been. But like you say, just do it. Like if you want to do it, just fucking put one out there, because we never had any aspirations with it to go, well, we want to get famous.
No.
It was just, we want to have a show where we can talk about wrestling, because we both enjoy wrestling. There's a way of catching up. So
that's the thing. I think
we're still not really, like, it's not about doing anything with it really, other than enjoying it.
That's what's most fascinating, I think, is about us and our show, is we've never once set a, like, we want to do this, we want to achieve that, we want to have all these guests on. I think even just by happenstance, we were just like, I wonder if we would email so-and-so whether they'd come on the show. You know what I mean? And then it's not like we... And there's podcasts and shows out there who are interview podcasts, and that's what they go on. Whereas we're just like, if we were just chatting about wrestling and we think of a name, we go, oh yeah, I wonder whether they'd come on the show.
But for the record, interview podcasts out there who may be watching this, hats off to you, because the stress of like making sure you've got enough questions, like making sure I don't know, there's a lot more stress involved with doing interviews. Like, I thoroughly enjoy them, by the way, but like DDP is a prime example for this, right? we stressed and we made sure we had questions for him, because he's an absolute fucking legend. We were so in awe that we were speaking to DDP. We were like, got all these questions ready. We don't want to be like, so how are you doing? We asked all of 2 questions because we just were in awe and listening to stories, and he had no problem talking to us about his career and stuff like that. Obviously, we sort of spared it up, but of the questions we planned, we barely asked any, because it sort of naturally fell that way. So we stressed for fucking no reason, really. Yeah. But I feel like, I don't know if that's like that's what people do. I don't know if that's how you do it when you do interview podcasts, or shows. But like for us, every time we've got an interview, there's that little build up before it where you're like trying to make sure you get the questions right, trying to make sure you keep into the time, because if you agree like 30 minutes and you're going to take longer, there's a lot of like, I couldn't imagine that being your weekly show. Like, that would stress me out. So I agree. More power to you if you do it, man. Yeah,
but I think just keep at it. Do you know what I mean? To anybody, if we can offer any advice, is just do it, even if you think there's things you don't like. Like, it's only over time. We were a quarantine podcast, weren't we? So
surprisingly, we actually started a week before, I think, or whatever. The Rumble was February, and then our country went into, I don't know when America did, but our country went into lockdown in March. So we ended up being a quarantine podcast, but we were one of them was like, no, we were doing this before, it was cool. It is what it is.
Yeah. But no, I think that's our advice. Just do it. You know what I mean? Just get started. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just
fucking start. Honestly,
started,
right?
Record something, put it out. No one listens to it.
If anyone's watching and going like, it, like in terms of technically, how do we get started? We downloaded Anchor.
Yeah.
That was it. We downloaded Anchor. You can record it on your phone, and we did. I think for the first few weeks, we've slowly bought kit, as you can see, microphone, camera, all that bollocks. But literally, we just started and see where we go. So I totally agree. Just start doing it if you enjoy it, man.
Yeah, and it is about enjoying it as well. Like, I don't think there's certainly no fast track to success with things like this. You have to get super lucky, to become a fucking overnight sensation phenomenon. You've got to really do it. because you want to do it. I think.
And I think because I think that's the thing, because if we were doing this to be big, we'd have probably quit by now.
Yeah,
because it doesn't work like that.
No, and you can't get
not for the most, unless you go viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
Or something.
And for a stats nerd like me who has everything in spreadsheet form,
love the stats.
I've got all of our our performance on YouTube and stuff like that. You can't get obsessed with why isn't this segment doing that great all the time and stuff like that. And if you see massive drops on things, it's just, if people want to listen or watch, they can do, and you just have to get
exactly. Yeah.
This one from the Wrestling Takeover, Jordan himself, so go and check him out. How do you feel about Mercedes Varnado, formerly known as Sasha Banks?
I'm interested to see where it goes. I feel like whatever is the right choice for her, I suppose. So this is purely on a personal level. So I'm not saying she should have done it, but for me, it's a little disappointing because she was or is super talented, but I don't really follow New Japan.
Yeah.
So I may catch some stuff on YouTube, but it's not going to be quite the same as watching on WWE, or if she'd have went to AEW or something like that. So for me, it's a little disappointing because I know she's super talented, but we watch that much wrestling that I probably won't catch much of what she does.
Yeah.
That being said, if she wants to tackle Japan and she's going to absolutely fucking tear it, we've seen people go super successful with doing Japan. Why the fuck not? You know what I mean? But for me, it's just, I don't know, I'm probably not going to see a great deal of it, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, same with me. I don't think it's the end for her in terms of her US wrestling career. I think this is, to quote Cody, an excursion on the way to somewhere. I think she's always wanted to do Japan, always wanted to do Stardom. She's achieving that dream. More power to her for chasing that dream and turning down other offers. And I do think that we'll see her again, whether it's in WWE or maybe AEW or whatever.
But again, I mean, look at how many people have garnered a reputation from Japan, and then spun that into being the big deals they are. Cody's whole style now has been developed from his time in Japan, his time with the Elite and all that kind of stuff. So you can't really, I can't really fault her for that move, because I think it can be nothing but good. It helps her become, I suppose, and again, super talented. So it's not like she needed to be, but she hopefully become a more well-rounded wrestler from it, or she'll gain something from it. That's the aim, isn't it?
She'll learn. You know what I mean? Massively from every experience you have, you learn something new, don't you? So,
indeed,
as you said, that's a great way to put it. She'll be more well-rounded, I think, after the end of it. So.
Indeed.
Good question. The next one from Goddy21. Again, another one who's been with us from pretty much since day one.
Day one.
What's that one unique / new, never before seen segment you guys want to do this year?
We've got a few.
Damn.
We've got a few different things, haven't we? We've been toying. We're being, hopefully you're not spoilers, dickhead. We've been toying with board games quite a lot, so I think that's probably the new thing that's coming, because one, that is logistically kind of difficult on a video format, so we're still working that out. But I wanted to play Guess Who with Carl, but based on wrestlers, so we have to guess which wrestler, Guess Who, but wrestlers.
Yeah.
But Carl's got one in the works as well. So I quite like sort of putting a wrestling skew on board games and competing with each other. I think it's probably going to be a couple of things we do this year that they're going to be fairly new, and we're kind of super excited about that.
Yeah. It's a fascinating question, that actually. It's made me think. It's a thinker, that one. Do we need to be doing some never before seen shit, and what is that? I don't know.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. So this is a YouTube short.
Switch the graphic off.
What do you mean? This is a studio.
But yeah, I mean, we kind of we plan stuff, but it's not as planned as you might think. So I don't think we've got a long term we need to do this, that, but we kind of have
flying by the seat of our pants.
No, we kind of have mad ideas, and we go, right, we'll write that down and we'll visit it. And there's loads of stuff we've done that didn't really pan out. That we're not that we're necessarily not going to visit it again, but it didn't quite work how we wanted to, or whichever. And no disrespect to it, because I enjoyed the segments we did, but one that we're probably not in a rush to revisit would be history of, for instance, because we didn't really. The idea, I suppose, was to. And because we have to do this alongside having day jobs, the idea with the history of was to go into a lot more detail and make it, again, probably a bit more long form. So we haven't really revisited that too much. So we kind of just experiment with things, don't we? But
yeah. There's an idea you had a while ago, which I'm still keen to. I think it's just going to take so much time.
I forgot this now.
But is to emulate a certain talk show host's style for things that have happened in the wrestling world.
Oh yes, I would love to do that, but that would require a lot of work.
Yes, I think, so
if we ever do it, I will point out what one it is, but I'll keep that one in the old bag.
I think it's something which I've never seen any other wrestling theme show tackle, and I think being
quiet about it.
Yeah, I think if we could find a way to pull it off that wasn't so time consuming.
But it would literally be we can maybe do a week of it by booking a week off to concentrate on it, but it takes a lot of editing and a lot of work to do it. So, but it's fun. It's good fun.
Yeah, I think as well for people who are curious about this kind of stuff, we are very minimal when it comes to editing, aren't we?
Yes, literally, we probably press stop on this and that will be it for the Q&A anyway. Yeah. Certain things we have to edit, like interviews every time we have to edit to put everything where it needs to be. But for the most, this is we could pretty much go live if we needed to. Yeah. We've learned not to say all the things we shouldn't say on camera. I'm kidding.
That's another thing we've toyed with, and I still don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like that's where a lot of people are going now, is they're doing live streams of stuff. I think because we're British and because of the time zones and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's hard because it'll always be low. We know from the analytics, I think 80% of our audience are American. Yeah. So most of them will be in work, I guess, when we're recording, given the hour we record. So it does make it a bit harder in that sense. Plus, I think there's the stress of if there is participation, I want to engage, but at the same time, I don't want to.
You need a
don't ignore them, but
or you need a bigger team. Yeah, just us two with a laptop.
Yeah, we need a guy who could. Because again, one of the main shows I watched, and I was like, this is what we need. This is how we need to do this, Carl, because it's awesome. I'd recommend it to anyone. It was Two Bears, One Cave.
Yes.
With Bert Kreischer and why have I forgot the other guy's name? Oh, that's not good, is
it?
Tom Segura, thank you. I may have said Segura wrong. Anyway, fantastic show. Those two have got such chemistry, just really good friends, and their format I think is fantastic. Yeah. But they have, obviously because they can, they sat at a table discussing stuff, and anything that comes to their mind, they've got a guy at maybe more than one, but they've got a guy who they can be like, oh, can you get that up on screen and stuff like that. Yeah. So it just makes it flow a bit easier for them, and obviously that would be the dream. If we did it as a day job, we could do shit like that. But I think there's a level of stress if we tried to go live.
Yeah.
What was the question?
It's a very good point. I don't know in terms of never before seen stuff, but obviously we do have mad ideas all the time for things.
Okay. I think toying with the board games is relatively. I don't think we've done one yet, have we? So that's probably the new thing for this year. That's going to be a bit fun.
I think we've got one coming soon. And as you said about the Guess Who concept, we'll try and figure out a way to.
Yeah, it's more logistically how we do that.
But hopefully we'll start, we mentioned a bit in one of the other questions about upgrading the kit and stuff over time. Hopefully we'll figure out how to get better camera work going soon as well. So again, needs a bit of time.
We're going to be looking at IMAX pretty soon. Yeah.
I was confused. I thought you meant like an iMac, like a device.
Nice. I was like, what? You're going to see us in 3D.
God.
Why?
Poor bastards. So the next one comes from, again, another day one-er, pretty much. Connor Cole, 2004. What's your favourite stipulation match?
So, is it cheating to say the Rumble?
No, I don't think so.
I fucking love the Royal Rumble. Yeah. I maintain this for many years, with one exception, that there's never been a bad Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one that wasn't a Royal Rumble, because it's its own show in its own right, I would probably say I'm a good classic ladder match. I'm quite partial to.
It's literally steel.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dude. I thought you'd go steel cage, man.
No. Yeah, definitely. Royal Rumble's got to be the number one. It's our favorite match of the year, isn't it? It's just for everything about it, the surprises, for the the drama towards the end and stuff like that. It's there's got that element. Okay.
Can I ask?
Go on.
Flip the question slightly. What's your least favorite?
God.
And we can't pick one-offs because you can't cheat and go
Punjabi prison.
The evening gown match between you can't do that. You can't
I fucking love that evening gown match between Pat Patterson and Jared Briscoe. What are you talking about?
Fine, but I'm just saying you can't go for one-offs. You have to pick can't go out brawl for all the shit, or anything like that.
Controversial.
Okay.
I've never been that big of a fan of the Chamber.
Really?
Just because at least before steel cage matches went shit, there was very much and you can just go out the door and all. It was very much you've got to escape the cage or you've got to pin them in the cage, and that was kind of it. Whereas Elimination Chamber, it's just a match, isn't it? To be honest, You can't.
It's a match.
You can't get out. You can't do it. You can jump off the cell or throw someone through, but it's been done.
Yeah, I suppose the main gimmick is that you can't participate straight away, which I still don't get. Like, have we ever had somebody win before everyone's out, or can you not pin them until everyone's out?
No, you've literally got to wait.
Yeah, okay.
So
I've never known that.
Yeah,
never asked.
It's kind of one of them. Like, people absolutely rave over it, but I just don't know. It's never really been my favourite one. Okay. What about you?
My controversial one? I'm not a great fan of strap matches.
Yeah.
I kind of don't get it. I know people are like, oh, look at the welts he's left on. I'm like, I don't get it. Especially
when they change the rules up and stuff. Like, you're meant to be, you have to hit every 4 turnbuckles was the original strap match.
That would, that works for me. But the way it is now is just, you're both tied together and you just whip each other for a while.
Why? And it's always like cumbersome and clunky when you try moves and you're like wrapped up and I agree.
Yeah. Sucks. So I know a lot of people probably love them, but I'm just not. And a lot of people, if we were talking West, because I know I flipped the question a little bit, people probably should be expecting us to say anything on a poll. But I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of strap matches, man.
No, but I agree with you. Rumble and ladder matches, my 2 favourites. Cheap Pop Boys again. Happy birthday, chaps. Thank you. What is your favourite annual wrestling event?
Ooh.
I think they are going to be different, actually. I know yours.
Do you? Rumble.
Yeah. I still think Mania, right?
Yeah, fair.
It's so close. I love the Rumble, but there's nothing bigger than WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, every year we get super hyped.
Yeah.
We get a whiskey. Sometimes we buy t-shirts. I was like, yeah, let's do this.
We're doing that again this year. I don't know why I stopped doing that. Yeah, I get some t-shirts.
Well, you don't have to buy them all the time.
I don't have to buy them. Still won't be ours, by the way.
We have plenty of our merch. We just don't wear it for the show for some reason.
This is true.
I think you did the colours to the point where it might cause problems, actually.
Yeah.
My one's like that bright blue. Anyway, yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely Rumble, but I do have a special place for me because Rumble and Mania are probably the 2 that we always watch together. Yeah. I know we've done like Crown Jewel and various different ones, but we always watch Mania and Rumble.
Yeah,
because they're the big dogs.
Yeah. I also kind of, again, controversial potentially. I'm not sure I love the fact it's over 2 nights now.
Yeah, no, I get that
because then night 1 never feels as big, and then you've just seen WrestleMania the day before, so then by proxy it's like, well,
it's like this year, wasn't it? We had to pick the night, and we picked the right one because it was the night Cody came back. We had to pick the nights because we couldn't do both, which is annoying. Because normally we can watch all of Mania, but sadly WWE have seen the money in it, haven't they?
Yeah.
2 lots of ticket sales and everything. So, in a way, I know you can buy both.
It's
nights
never going back, but I just used to love when it was WrestleMania, like the one night when everything. But now it's like, I don't know. Yeah. But WrestleMania for me still, it's
I mean, fantastic. Would you rather that or it be like 7 hours long? I suppose.
Well, yeah, there is that aspect to it, but. Just like every AEW show.
So, I picked the 2 obvious ones. There you go. Sorry.
SCW, the wrestling channel. Absolutely love this guy. What song would you choose for your entrance music?
I've spent my life changing this. Right, so, fun fact, me and Carl absolutely loved wrestling games as teenagers. Don't really get a chance to play them much now. Last one I played was 2K17, just for context. We used to love creating our characters and deciding what their music would be. I know, obviously, bar the Xbox, you couldn't really import your music. The game was shit, but it was fantastic because you could bring music into it.
Yeah.
And I've changed this so many fucking times that I honestly am not too sure. Like, as examples, I had like Kid Rock Cowboy at one point. I had Sad But True by Metallica. Trying to think of other ones that I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. I did a slightly more recent one when we were talking, like, if we did like an actual event where we both try and actually wrestle, which would probably kill us at this point. I was like, well, what would you do then? I went with like Ashes by Tom McDonald.
Yeah.
And then Godzilla by Eminem. So I'm all over the fucking place. There is tons of them, and I'm like, oh, that would be a cool one. I'm not sure I've got the charisma to come out to the likes of like Godzilla by Eminem if I had that entrance music. But I literally, because my taste is relatively eclectic, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, and it depends what my characters did. Like when I was a kid, and I think you did the same as well. Like when you develop your character, so you start out like fairly like generic, and then you're like, trying to like, oh yeah, I'll give him a different outfit, I'll give him this gimmick, and he can do this. So like Kid Rock Cowboy as an example was like that was very much a cowboy themed character on Create a Wrestler. So it was going to start from
Undertaker inspired.
It's going to start from that cheesy like piano bit and then go into that. And it worked. It was fucking boss. But yeah, that was predicated on me being a fake cowboy because obviously I'm not American. So anyway,
could be a builder over here.
True. Yeah, gonna cost you. So yeah, I've changed it so many times. There's just a few of the ones I've picked over the years for me creator wrestlers anyway.
Yeah. I remember you found Mustang Nismo for me at one point.
That was great.
And we sped it up, and I was like, yeah, that's the one. So I had that for a bit.
That's the one.
And then obviously, I honestly love Cody Rhodes' song. I think it's so good. It fits so well. I just love it. The lyrics in it and everything. Obviously, it was written for him, so it's perfect. But so obviously, when we were like, what if we were wrestlers? I was like, oh, maybe I could come out to that. With the obnoxious like stuff at the beginning as well. Because yeah,
why not?
Why the hell not? You can do it once. But yeah, I don't really know. It's a great question that though. I feel like I need to find my entrance music.
So what were some of the ones I know? Right, here's a fun one for you as well. When we had the original, the Xbox. Not the Xbox One. That's a totally separate console now. Thanks, Xbox. When we had the original first Xbox, they had the Raw game, and you could rip music to the Xbox and you could use that. So we actually went through a phase of editing stuff, and I remember, was it Sid Vicious music that started with that? So I remember editing one for you that was Sid Vicious, and then it did like a record scratch, like and it went into
I think it was the Linkin Park.
Yeah, that I'm about to break.
Yeah, one step closer.
Thank you. And that I was quite proud of that editing that as a kid. That was one that we used on your Creative Wrestler. I remember making that. I was quite sure for myself that I did the editing on it. So I know you used that at one point as well in our childhood.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Though. Yeah. I remember when we were booking our own shows and that, as you do when you're a kid, and we gave them theme songs, and we had like a Turn Me On Mr. Deadman or whatever from the guys who did, was it Union Underground?
Was Union Underground,
yeah. We could call it Shockwave, we could call the other one something else, I can't remember what it was. But
yeah, we had some fun
times. Cheap Pop again, all up in these DMs.
Damn.
What are your favourite theme songs of all time? Very fitting.
Oh, I love it. Right, so we have, I personally have a lot of love for, and people may not necessarily like this because they didn't really like this Undertaker run. Do you call it Big Evil when he was doing this? It wasn't the American Badass Undertaker, but it was that You've Done It Now. I have a fucking proper love for that theme. That was that was when he was just running SmackDown and in the Attitude Era. I think Ruthless Aggression Era. Yeah. And I'm like, I think anything Jim Johnson did, to be honest, I think he was really good at setting a theme that worked with that character. So that suited him so well. And I thought it was really. Just bear in mind, before that, I think we had Rollin'.
Yes.
And Biscuits Rolling, maybe. Yeah. So the change up I thought was really good. They did it initially without lyrics and then they put the lyrics in. It's just fucking brilliant. So I still have a lot of love for that one. But I mean, are we talking like favourite themes in terms of like that's perfect for that person, or like music wise? Like I would sit and listen to that.
Yeah, maybe not ones you sit and listen to, but maybe ones you just like, oh, that's a boss theme song.
Like this, I know we're not like, I know it's controversial, like the wrestler's controversial, but I think anyone would agree with this, right? So I'm not, obviously, I know we're not meant to talk about Chris Benoit, but his theme music was fucking banger.
Yeah. You always like Snitsky's as well, didn't you? The riff on
Snitsky, yeah. Yeah, that's Zach Wilde kind of. Yeah, that was good.
That's one example where, no offense to him, but the music was.
I'd love to do a segment on that. Actually, that could be a 10 that we do, where you, like music that slapped way harder than the rest of it deserved. Because Snitsky, that music was like way too good for what they booked for Snitsky. There's no disrespect to Snitsky, but for the way they booked him, that music just hit way too well. You know what I mean? It's like, that's fucking awesome. But yeah, there's a couple of examples from me.
Yeah, I think, as you said, anything Jim Johnson or Jimmy Hart, did were probably amazing. Like stuff.
I feel like you're gonna go like golden era on me.
Yeah, I am. Like, I mean, I would pick like obviously Perfect and all that because they're my favorites. But I love theme songs where you can tell who it is by the very first sound. So Austin.
Yeah,
straight away you're like, fuck yeah.
Were you ever a fan of Austin, the Disturbed one that they started using?
That one.
Yeah.
I was actually, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Even the one that they had, like, I don't think he ever came out to on, like, WF The Music Volume 4, and it was like, sometimes I drink a little beer, sometimes
awesome.
I make a little mess.
They've had some mad albums over the years. Do you remember they had the one where they did originals, right? Like, so you had that kind of stuff. You had, obviously John Cena, I think, inspired the originals in it, but you had, like, Rey Mysterio ones and stuff like that, I think. And then they did, like, that, I think this was Attitude at the time, but they did, like a rap version of people's themes. So yeah, like Snoop Dogg did one for someone and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you remember that?
The Aggression. WF Aggression album.
Was it Aggression?
They had Kings of Rock on for DX and that.
Yeah. That was awesome. So like just they've had tons of mad albums over the years that are just awesome. But
I think for me though, I think it's those theme songs where it's like instantly recognisable. So like Austin Glass Shatter, Bret Hart, there's that riff initially. Like, you're like, fuck yeah.
How do you feel about people who use that iconic bit? And basically I'm referring to Charlotte and Natalia. How do you feel about that, where it basically leads you down a path and you go, oh, it's actually just Natty?
Yeah,
because they're using an iconic riff, aren't they, and going, actually it's my thing.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. It's kind of like we already get that you're the kid. You don't have to then rip off the music as well.
Yeah.
They did it with Curtis Axel to a degree as well, but yeah. Like even Undertaker, like the gong, love that. Like, you know, the old, those like, you're like, I just love ones where it's like.
But again, even the one I love of Undertaker's, the way that starts out, it still has that Undertaker vibe to it, because it does the steps, and it hits into the music, so it works perfectly. You know who it is. Okay, before we move on, which Hulk Hogan theme is the best Hulk Hogan theme? Because I feel like you're going to tell me it's Real American. And
Voodoo Child's the best song, let's be honest. If it was
as a song, yeah.
If it was one I'd listen to.
But they're both, I would argue, like that, where it hits and you know who it is. So
it would be Real American, to be fair. Bam, bam, straight away, you're just like, it's Hogan, if you're into Hogan.
Okay.
Even Warrior, though. It's amazing. Ric Flair, all of them. They're just...
And then, not to digress, but while we're on the topic, a shout out to Zack Ryder's old music, Radio, because I actually think that's underrated as a theme.
Yeah. If he would have come back, I think he should have come back with that one.
How have I not mentioned Collie Budd's SOS?
Oh, yeah.
That I'm not allowed to sing because I keep doing a Jamaican accent.
You can't do that, Anthony.
No, especially not on a bus.
The next one from DVDB21. Have any wrestling opinions you had changed in the 3 years of doing this show?
Ooh,
fantastic question.
That is a good one.
Probably, hate to say it, I'm nowhere near as big on AEW as I was.
Yeah, I think that's one we can both agree on. Like AEW, and this is...
And I'm also, just to be clear, I'm not saying Triple H has pulled off some fucking miracle here or anything like that. The story has...
because a lot of people do that. It's like, he's the saviour.
But no, I don't agree with that either.
I think there's been a combination of things here. Because AEW, this isn't like our feelings have changed, I don't suppose, really. Our opinion certainly has, but the reason for that is AEW's first year was an absolute banger. They were killing it, right? And then it kind of petered out. So they've had minimal direction, kind of poor booking. And I don't want to point fingers, but Tony Khan took over, didn't he? Yeah. And the bookings have been atrocious. I get why he took over, because again it was getting a bit chaotic, because it's one segment that was identical to another segment right after it. It's like, that didn't work.
I get that. The problem I have, they rely too heavily on putting on good matches.
Yeah.
You can't care about matches if there's nothing to care about.
And the funny thing is, WWE at the minute, and this is a little bit of the right situation at the right time, because again, I wouldn't really go, this is all Triple H is doing. But we'll talk about that in a sec. Is the best thing going in WWE is Bloodline, and that's because of the story. Mm-hmm. Yes, they put on good matches, but you're watching it and going, I can't wait for this match, or you want to find out what's going on because of the story. Exactly. And that's proof that storytelling is super important.
Yeah, the Bloodline came in under Vince. Yeah. Sami Zayn got over by himself.
The reason I want to mention it is because I agree that Triple H he's good. There's no disrespect to him at all. He brought wrestling back to the UK, but he also took it away from the UK and sent it over to Europe. But whatever. So Sami Zayn recently said something in an interview. I can't remember who was interviewing him, because I'm boss like that and we do that all the time. Yeah. But he actually said that he couldn't get near Roman until Triple H. And you got to wonder, would the Bloodline have panned out the way it did had he not had the opportunity to work directly with Roman? Because he was in the Bloodline stuff where he couldn't get near Roman. So I found that interesting. He's not specifically saying he was kept away, but he's like, coincidentally, someone took over and he got...
Don't get me wrong, like Triple H has definitely given more opportunities to people who've naturally got over. But, you know, people see him as this kind of messiah. And I love Triple H. People probably think I shit on the guy. I just don't agree with this rhetoric that, Vince was awful and Triple H has come in and saved the day.
Yes. No, I agree with that, because, like, some choices from Vince, you're like, that's fucking insane. But let's be honest, he's made some insane choices all of his career, and some stuff has really panned out, and some stuff you're like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, let's be honest, peak Vince McMahon, he had Trish Stratus barking like a dog. Like, that probably wasn't the best booking decision. People don't really go, oh yeah, he was awful back then as well. Yeah, the class it is like he's an old man who's lost it, but I don't think he was. He's always been a bit mad, and some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. But no, for me, the main one's AEW. Can't think of any other opinions.
One that I think has changed fairly recently, even though I have been moaning about him this week, is I would say my opinion on Cody Rhodes has actually changed in the last few weeks, because I kind of get it a little bit more now. Like, I've seen him with the stuff he was doing with Heyman, the story towards going for the title and stuff, I think is perfect. Like, he's better in WWE because it makes more sense, if you know what I mean. So I think my opinion on... I wasn't liking Cody in AEW, so I would argue my opinion on Cody's actually changed.
Yeah, probably the same for Roman as well. I don't think Roman...
In all fairness,
had the bloodline at that point 3 years ago, did he?
That's a fair point, yeah. So, we probably moaned about Roman quite a lot in the early... Because it wasn't that Rumble, but like I know I probably brought it up in our first one about Roman...
Sitting outside
and not participating in Rumble, but still winning the fucking thing. So I know that we probably moaned, and yeah, he's been, since he came back as a heel, he's been absolutely fucking killing it.
Yeah, agreed. Wrestling the Nerds, our friend Nikolai. What is your favourite Danish wrestling podcast?
Oh, that's a tough choice.
Yeah, I like the Danish dubbed version of the Jim Cornette podcast. I kid, of course. Obviously, the number one podcast in Denmark, the Wrestlers and the Nerds, obviously.
Indeed.
Go and check that out, Nikolai and Kim Tinning and you know all the gang there.
And obviously, Nikolai, he was good enough to be on our show. Be months ago now when we did Get the F Out, which is fucking awesome. And we were talking sort of briefly about each other's shows when we were on there, and they do obviously do some episodes in Danish, but they do have some English out there as well, so it's definitely worth checking out. Super cool guy, really friendly guy, really knowledgeable guy, especially because obviously the concept of the show, the wrestler and the nerd, is that he's speaking to a wrestler. So there's a lot of inside knowledge in that sense as well. So,
definitely.
Yeah. Definitely the favourite, Nikolai.
Yeah. Oh, look, here he is again. What is the best match ever? Austin Brett, WrestleMania 13.
Ooh, straight in there.
Dumb. Yeah, no better match. From a storytelling standpoint, from an in-ring capability, from a, you know, it had everything. Absolutely everything.
You're not wrong. Can't even contribute. You're not wrong. Like,
I mean,
it is.
You can say like Undertaker and HBK, one of them, or something.
I mean, it might be what I'd lean to because again, storytelling, fantastic. As much as I know you hate HBK,
I do hate him. I hate him, but it was a good match.
In all fairness, I couldn't disagree with you at all. Undertaker and Kane casket match. I kidding. But no, yeah, you're totally right. Well, banger of a match. Pulled off the. Is that the infamous Crimson Mask, that one with...
it is, yeah. The iconic double turn as well.
Iconic double turn, but yeah, as much as they squeamish away from blood these days, the infamous Crimson Mask is an iconic image.
It just added so much to it as well, didn't it? Yeah, you could see he didn't give up and everything. You know, he made him that night.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, you know, they remember the promo, don't they, from the King of the Ring, but it was this night. This was the making of Stone Cold, right? That was it. And yeah, I can't disagree at all. Best match ever.
Yeah. Any tournaments coming soon from Beer Rock 96? You've changed your name, haven't you? You've changed your Instagram name. It's a good question, though, you know. We'll probably have an 8 to the Kenya tournament.
You do like it, and you're pretty good. I would say you're really good at a tourney bracket, and you do like a good tournament.
But it's like with the Rumble one we did this year, it was like we had to crown the second best Rumble because we already. I was like, you know, we know 92 is the best, and we've already done it. What's the best WrestleMania tournament?
So I suppose we need to mix it up a bit, don't we?
Maybe it's like best WrestleMania match, but then again,
yeah. I mean, we could. We don't necessarily have to tie it into pay per view. We could spin Nikolai's question into a tournament. Say what was the best match ever?
Yeah.
Put the candidates up there, like get the candidates, and then put them into the Tony bracket and go from there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we definitely. I do enjoy I enjoy the social media interaction. So I enjoy the.
Somebody requested like about 2 years ago now. Are we going to do something for like SummerSlam as well? I feel like we always, with good intentions, say we will and just never do it.
So maybe we look at SummerSlam because we kind of do sleep on SummerSlam a little bit, and we probably shouldn't because one of the big four, man.
Yeah. Maybe we can crown our own King and Queen of the Rings as well.
That would be cool. I like that idea.
The original tournament bracket.
So yeah, we've just come up with like 2 or 3 that we definitely want to do. So
down. Wrestling Blog UK, another awesome guy, except he supports Newcastle. So
you're gonna have to cover this, mate. I
should have actually prepped an answer for this. Which wrestler personifies Everton under Lampard and under Dyche? What wrestler do you know who is pretty much well liked by everyone, but just absolutely hopeless?
Well liked, but absolutely hopeless.
Barry Horowitz. Brooklyn Brawler.
Do you want a current one?
Yeah.
And I don't get why.
Baron Corbin.
Well, honestly, kinda.
Yeah.
You could say Dom. Like for some reason, the crowd like him. I think he's fucking useless.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you clarified what this game is to me because I don't know.
Yeah. And then under Dyche, I guess he's got good charisma and he's a no nonsense kind of guy, and he's taking the biggest job of his career.
Bar that last statement, I was about to say Jericho, and he said that last statement.
Yeah, Jericho reinvents himself all the time, doesn't he? As well, somebody who is kind of goes under the radar but is actually really good.
Under the radar. Baron Corbin.
Can't compare Dyche to Corbin.
Goes under the radar but is actually really good.
Yeah, struggling with that one.
Because they're under the fucking radar. You're making this impossible for me.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, don't know. I mean, to be honest, he's only managed 2 games and we've beat the...
Oh, here we go.
Beat the league leaders Arsenal and got twatted in the Merseyside derby, so...
I mean, wasn't that inevitable?
Too early to tell. Shut your face.
I don't even know. I'm just trying to wind you up.
So the next one from the Wrestling Butcher, who we featured in our Hot Takes 2. How has your YouTube journey been? Fascinating.
Yeah, to be fair.
So I sent you like a chart the other day. As you know, I'm a massive stats nerd, but it took us over a year and a half. So we never actually had a YouTube channel for a while.
That's true.
Believe it or not. So it was like we'd been going like a year more than a year, I can't remember.
Maybe.
A while. But basically, it took us a year and a half to get to 500 subscribers, right?
Yes.
And then it took us just another 4 or 5 months to get to 1,000. So we were like, wow, that's like rapid growth. It's now taken just over 2 months to get to 2,500, which is mental.
Yeah, to the point that we're like, is this bots?
Yeah, we're like, it's got to be bots. Now,
but for me, like I did read when I was like trying to research like what do you do on YouTube? How do you like do your titles? What's the best for the SEO? There were people on there who were like, here's the advice for being a YouTuber, and a lot of them did say once you break the first 1,000, it's not that difficult. It's not that it's not that difficult, but it's not as difficult.
Yeah, and
it certainly seems to be true for us. Once we got past that first 1,000, we're able to get a sort of a consistent climb.
Yeah,
like because it is consistent, isn't it? It's like you get a couple a day. Now,
it's like,
which is decent.
Like 10, 15 sometimes a day, and you're like, what the hell?
And which is awesome. I absolutely love it. I say we're like, is this bots? It feels like bots.
Surely it's got to be the bots, but
asking any hopefully not, and hopefully it's people who just enjoy the content. But yeah, it felt like a really hard slog, and we seem to be having a little decent run at the minute, so we're not going to say nothing. We're just going to stay quiet on that and just keep watching. But
yeah, I'm glad we obviously we did YouTube as well. Took it on and obviously ended up getting on Pro Wrestling TV as a result.
Indeed.
So, that's kind of led us there with this journey.
Well, yeah, to be fair, it does. Yeah.
Right, so now we get into. I think this NGL app is a load of bollocks. You talk about bots. Some of the questions on there, right?
You're going to be savage. What if this is a genuine question? You're going to be fucking savage.
No, listen. So some of them I've kept in, right? That I thought maybe they could be genuine ones.
Okay.
Some of them were like random. You know what I mean? I don't want to actually say the ones in case they were genuine, but I was like, they're random.
So you think it throws some stuff out there because it were not really related to us?
Yeah, I feel like it adds fake questions for you, so you don't feel like no one's answering your link. But it was like stuff like not like who's your crush and all that, but you know what I mean? It was like weird stuff, and I was like, if you knew us, why you wouldn't ask us that?
Yeah, you know who our crush is.
So I was like, come on. So yeah.
So we were talking about this earlier. It's Solo Sikoa.
But any Netflix recommendations? Now.
Oh, okay.
Let me just jump in there. So I haven't watched Netflix in ages. I was going to watch season 4 of You, but I haven't because I've become fascinated and obsessed with British crime TV shows.
It's true, he has.
Now, I used to be such
a lot of them are available on
American...
Netflix, though.
Are they?
Because they've got some sort of, like in this country, they've got like a bit of a thing going with BBC.
Oh, right.
So it's on
Maybe
BBC,
they're on Netflix. But they're on BBC iPlayer over here. But I never used to be a massive fan of...
the British Broadcasting Channel.
of British shows, to be honest. But I've really got into them. But I got into Happy Valley recently, and it's obviously it's about 8 years old. But they had like massive gaps in between seasons. So the third and final seasons just happened. So I had the luxury of being able to watch all 3 seasons in a go, and it was amazing. I then watched Time with Sean Bean and
the prison one, yeah. Stephen Graham.
Stephen Graham, best fucking actor.
He's like
ever.
Like most famous Scouser at the minute. Just come on.
And then I'm now watching. God, I told you what it was before.
God,
it's that good. I can't remember the name.
The
Responder with that other guy in
Martin Freeman,
who plays
the Hobbit guy.
Yeah. So I'm loving all that kind of stuff at the minute. So those will probably be my recommendations. Definitely check them out if you like a bit of crime, thriller, mystery.
Okay, I'm boring. Specific Netflix recommendation would be You. I watched the new season. I think it was You. I think it was better than the last season.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Cobra Kai. If you haven't seen Cobra Kai, it's very cheesy. If you loved Karate Kid as a kid, it's for you. If you didn't, probably not.
I'm also rewatching Scrubs, if that's on Netflix.
No, it's not. It's on Disney.
Disney Plus. No.
But yeah, beyond that, like I struggle to watch much, to be honest with you. Like right now, I'm just watching The Simpsons again, just because. Yeah,
there's not a lot out there, is there, unfortunately. I've watched The Office too many times.
Sometimes I've just not got the capacity to watch new things. Like Simpsons is a constant for me. I watched Simpsons since I was a kid. It's shocking how much of the like a script I can like quote word for word with certain episodes. Like the one where they go to Australia, I could probably
Flaming Moe's
do start to finish, you know. And then so I put it on sometimes just because it's easier than having to. It's similar to you with music when you say, well, you can't listen to a podcast, you have to concentrate. But because I know the shows so well, I don't really have to concentrate. I do a similar thing with Friends. I put Friends on when you just need something on, but you don't want to concentrate.
Every now and again you catch like a joke or something, you're like,
yeah, I do that from time to time. So like I haven't got a great deal of recommendations, but me and the wife did just finish watching You. Was another recommendation, which is probably an obvious one. I think Wednesday was on Netflix.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was good. If you like the Adam Sandler.
I think my missus watched it. I didn't really get into it, to be honest. Saw the dance scene though.
I thought you'd watch it for General Ortega, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah. But didn't she play like a 12-year-old or something? I don't know how old she's meant to be in the show.
I don't know. I just figured you'd be
feels wrong. Who's your dream interview?
And this one's from Anonymous.
Well, yeah. So I think all the rest are just anonymous. So I'm guessing someone asked this one.
It feels like it.
It felt relevant.
I mean, if I'm on it, for me, dream interview would be my favorite wrestler, be The Undertaker.
Yeah. I'd so kind of hope we could get him, somehow. I'd love to speak to Brett. I think that'd be...
Brett would be a tough one to get, though. I feel like he's very guarded as a person. So many people say, like, he's so negative all the time. It's like, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of reason to be fairly negative. Yeah. I don't think he's negative all the time, and I feel like it'd be awesome to speak to him about his... Because a lot of people want to... This is what I don't like sometimes about interviews. So many people speak to Brett and they want to talk to him about...
The worst times in his life.
What about the screw job? What about when Goldberg ended your career? It's like, what? How do you expect them to respond to them other than in an upset, bitter kind of way? Because his career was ended and he got screwed.
Yeah. Or like Owen, and he's literally had a life full of like misery.
But the way we like to do shows is to talk about their career and essentially why we love them as wrestlers. Yeah. So I'd love to speak to Brett in that sense and just talk about like
or just a completely positive interview. We don't dig for dirt and stuff anyway. So
So for me, I think it'd be great to speak to him on a level that weren't like, so the screw job, because that's everyone's heard about it now.
Shoot interviews and kiss my ass. If you do a shoot interview or you call your stuff shoot interviews, you need to give your head a wobble. A load of shit. I hate it. I hate that term. horrible.
I get, like, at the end of the day, sometimes it's a business, isn't it? So they go, well, if we say shoot or we say, oh, he said this, it's for clicks, isn't it? And for money and to monetize.
Which, I mean, we'll be clickbaity as well. But
I get it. Well, we've accidentally been clickbaity. Like, we spoke to Devon, we weren't trying to be clickbaity, and that's probably our one that ends up in the news the most because of some of the stuff he happened to say. But
I mean,
it's not like you put it up on
we
there.
Didn't call it
Devon, and
we didn't call it
this,
shoot interview, or we didn't say Devon says this about Bubba.
Devon shoots on AEW or anything like that. So I agree. Like, sometimes trying to gravitate it towards controversy makes cash. I don't like that as a format. And that would never be the aim. And I'd love to speak to Brett on that level, but Undertaker, man,
that would be insane. At this point, it's very, very hard to top people we've had on the show in any way. And that's no disrespect to any other guests that we get on or anything like that, but it's like, you know, we've
always liked doing a combo,
world champions.
We've always liked going, well, we want to speak to people behind the scenes, which we've done more than once, and hopefully we get some more in the future. I know we're speaking to a few. And then we like to speak to up and comers. Not to rob Jonah, because his whole rewind recap thing is bringing the future and the thing. You don't try and bring them together, but we like speaking to future talents. People like Lady Bear is a prime example where you've got
Lizzie as well. Like, look what she did.
Exactly. And you're like, you see something in them and you're like, oh, we need to speak to that person. That's totally, I love doing that as well. But like you say, in terms of like caliber of guest, and you go, like, we spoke to some like say we spoke to like Sakir, to Mickey James stuff,
Hall of Famers, former multi-time world champion and stuff. So it's I think for me, obviously Brett, because I absolutely love Brett, and you know, it sounds a horrible and morbid thing, but it's like he's obviously getting on a bit and stuff, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? As well, and it like I'd hate to think of a time when he's going to obviously pass away and stuff like that. I'd love to have the chance.
There's no delicate way to talk about it, but while you've brought it up, is like one, and we haven't referenced it too much because we didn't want to seem like we were trying to generate clicks or money from it. But like, we're so grateful that we got to speak to Lanny, because very sadly he's passed away this year, and that's gutting, because the way we saw him For the Love of Wrestling, he was in such good health and such good spirits. We had like, when we spoke to him on the interview, he was like, oh, when you see me like say this line, and we did, and it was like that little sort of nod to the fact that we'd interviewed him, and like, he remembered us, and that was just fucking awesome. Such a lovely dude, and we got the privilege to speak to him, and sadly he's now passed away, and that's super upsetting. But
it hit hard, that, I think, as well. You know, it's like the first person we ever spoke to who's like just not here anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy thought. Like,
so it's like that's super sad. But I mention it because it's relevant to what you're saying. Like, sometimes you go, well, like, there's people you'd love to speak to who you can't, or
like so many of my favorites and heroes, like, you know, Roddy Piper and Mr. Perfect and people like that just aren't with us. So it's like Brett's one of the only ones, you know, who's still here and stuff. So that would be my dream one.
So that's the mission for the
year.
Very
unlikely, but
hashtag get Brett.
Yeah, I love it. Do we have any more favorite hobby?
Okay, fun fact. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on here. And you know, I'm not trying to generate clicks here, but I do 3D printing, and I have a little TikTok going where I put up stuff. I haven't put up on there in a little while because I've had to do some repairs to my printer. But that's probably my favorite hobby. I love 3D printing. I make things called lithophanes and various other bits. I've tried to make a Mandalorian helmet and all sorts before.
You've made loads of cool stuff.
But yeah, so you know, if you're like, what the fuck's that about? You can check out my TikTok if you want. I'm sure Carl will put a link in there somewhere.
I will. But I'll also tell you, it's Imprint 3D, or imprinted, but with the 3 instead of the E. Imprint 3D. Awesome stuff. I don't know what hobbies I've got, to be honest. Obviously, just I don't want to make you I'm like spending time with my kid, and you're like, that's the answer I should have said. But like,
I got 2 of them. They play with each other.
Yeah, obviously, like, I have very limited free time. So I think I was talking about this today. I went out for lunch with some old work colleagues, and it was like
old as in you've not seen them in a while, or old as like they're all in the 70s?
Oh yeah, like 80s, 90s, yeah, really old. No,
we get the early bird lunch, Carl. Of course you can, Dave.
And after that, we'll play shuffleboard. No, but they were kind of saying like, oh, I don't know how you fit it all in and stuff, because obviously Mondays and Tuesdays is like of the evening. So obviously we have full-time jobs.
We do.
And then obviously after work, play with my son, see my wife and stuff for a bit. Monday, Tuesday is getting stuff ready for the show. Wednesday, recording the show. Thursday, I need to just do nothing. So I watch like The Apprentice, Dragon's Den, just chill. Friday is then I have a movie night with me little boy. Saturday I have a like date evening or movie night with the wife, and Sunday is kind of the only day I've got to do anything free time. So
the old romantic.
Anyone who didn't know, I did a children's book.
I was going to say that I don't really suppose you class it in the realms of hobby, but that would be one. I think it's definitely worth a plug.
Yeah, so I've got a children's book out there. It's called The Dreamy Wish of Jellyfish. I've got a second one which I just can't find the time to get out. It's finished. I just can't. It's finished.
Nice, awesome.
I just can't get it out because of no time. So hopefully in the next month or so we'll see that as well. But
nice.
So yeah, hobby wise,
yeah. I know that's spanning to some things, wasn't it? Spanning to some, like, because obviously you want to write a book. Correct me if I'm wrong, for your son.
Yeah.
Which obviously you did, and then that's spanning to you, like, you've been to like schools and read to children and stuff like
really
that.
Cool,
like,
to be honest.
Really cool thing to come from it. Like, I love that the spirit of it is like almost like giving back into the world. And like sometimes I kind of get really down about like what I do for a living on the back of that, and you go, I don't contribute fuck all to the world, really. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you do. You contribute to these people right now.
But do you know what I mean? But like, I love that. Like, you're giving, like, because the positive messages in your books. I think, like, if you just inspire one kid, that's fucking awesome. Isn't it?
I think
so,
it was
like,
you. I think it was you that said that to me, because I didn't even think, because it was only ever meant to be, you know, for me son, as I've always said. Yeah. I think it was you that said, like, you know, if one of them kids who I've gone and read it to in schools or whatever, if it resonated with just one of them, you never know, like 20, 30 years time or something, they could be like, you know what, I did this. It was because of your message or something. And I'd be like, wow. Yeah. But you know, you never know. People probably never happen, but it's crazy because I don't really actively do much on it. But I just ran. I had a school in God, where was it from? It's like Wisconsin or somewhere. Literally messaged me on Instagram the other day saying that they've done a big display of my book in the school, and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
I had kids dressing up as a jellyfish for World Book Day, and it was just like mental.
See,
so
I love that. Yeah.
Stuff like that's been very cool. But favourite hobbies this show, seeing this guy.
God damn right. Probably should have said that, both of us, really, but there you go.
You know. What was your favourite subject in school?
Oh, it's a tough one.
Do you know what, right? And I don't understand why, because I'm fascinated with it as an adult. I never liked science when I was in school. I don't know why.
I think the trouble with school, because I'll be honest, for the most, I hated school. Like, this doesn't count to everyone, so anyone who we went to high school with who's listening, apologies, because I don't mean you, because you're probably
definitely
cool
means
dude.
You. Yeah.
But you're just basically with a load of people you don't really like. You're all locked in a fucking cage together. Not literally, for those who are listening to it. That's not how it works. But, you know, you're all hormonal fucking teenagers, right? And then you put in a fucking room, like a classroom together or a building together for the bulk of the day. And most people are knobheads. Mm-hmm. So I was probably a knobhead as well, for the record. But the point being, like, I never really liked high school. Never had a good time there. Never really, like, obviously there's elements to it. Like, I met you in high school, so like we're best of friends. So there's loads of great memories from there,
and that's why you hated high school. You stuck with me.
But there's loads of great memories there. We made some really good friends. We all got drunk on a hill, you know, stuff like that. Fun times. So I'm not like totally dismissing high school, but I just never really liked high school, and consequently, it's like you go there, you do your lessons, and I think because the trouble with high school is they're trying to give you the fundamentals of most things. Like, I love science. Like, you look into the elements of the universe and how stuff works. And like, there's a book that I would highly recommend to anyone called "Why Does E = MC Squared and Why Should We Care?" which is a really approachable way to understand that formula and what it meant for the universe. Anyway, and that was fascinating to me. But like you say, in high school, it's like, so how does osmosis work? Because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it was just the stuff they taught you about science just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, alkalines and acids and pH scales, and that's cool.
Similar concept as well was history. I find history fascinating. The Romans and the Greeks and stuff fascinating. Fascinating. History. But then you go to high school and say, what do we learn about? Well, let's learn about the Tudors. And it might be different for those in America, but we're British, so we learned about the Tudors and the Victorians.
Did you do it for GCSE as well?
I said, no, I did.
Did you?
I did.
Because it was all. Because
I didn't want to do geography.
It was all about SCEM, where we grew up, and like coal mines and stuff.
Reveal stuff.
We're not there now. Don't.
Now we can. But like, and it's like, let's learn about coal mines. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. So I think sometimes it's not necessarily the topic. It was like the subcategory of said topic. Like, another fun fact, I really enjoyed RE. because
Very cool teacher.
well, because we just ended up asking Simpsons questions. He loved the Simpsons, and he'd do a quiz every class. I didn't learn anything, but I loved it. And probably another shout out would be to the music lessons, because we just fucked around with keyboards and shit.
We did. You had EJ, remember that? Make your own songs.
That's cool. But I don't know if I had a particularly favourite subject. I absolutely loved college when we went and did IT.
College was brilliant.
Yeah, and then we were like, our teacher in college was super cool, and he was just like, we're like, can we have our break now so we can go to McDonald's and get breakfast? And he's like, of course you can. Like, fucking legend, Tony, thanks.
Yeah. He was a legend. That guy.
He was.
Spent about 10 minutes learning and then 30 minutes playing basketball.
The thing is,
come get a cup of tea.
It worked. Like, no one failed. So he did teach us, but it was like, we played basketball quite a lot and everything. It was awesome. Yeah. We're at college, you with people who immediately share that interest, because we went to learn IT, so immediately we got that common ground. So it's just awesome. It's
a fascinating point. I think, like the first time you told me about that analogy, it does make so much sense. You just dumped in there with the people with no shared interests, and you just got to get along. It's only college and like uni or whatever, and your job where you go, I want to do this, and you can like-minded people kind of come together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
yeah. So I can't remember what I said, but
yeah, Ari, I think you said. I don't know. For me, maybe English. I did all right in French, to be honest. Never used it since.
Oui.
Oh yeah,
you see, that's another thing that I no offense to French, and I know why you liked French, Carl.
Wasn't even my teacher.
Whatever.
Wasn't.
But like, even that is like, I want to learn Italian. Like, as a language, it's the only language I've ever been interested in learning, because I want to go to Rome, which I did. Like, I forgot most of the Italian I learned, but I learned plenty of Italian when I went to Rome. And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. That's what I want to learn. But like, they didn't really give you choices. Like, I don't think there was any choices. Like, I know at one point when my brother, who's 8 years older than me, went to the same high school, it was like, choose between German or French. But then when I got there, it was like, you got French. With no other fucking teachers, no other language. You got French. I don't care if you want to learn French. So I'm like, well, we're going to fucking learn French.
They should have at least brought Spanish in. It's obviously much more widely spoken. But...
Exactly. So I've never understood, like, we were just kind of stuck with French, and I didn't really want to learn French. So, yeah. So I just basically said all the stuff I didn't like. There you go.
Pretty basically it. So that was it. That was the fun-filled question. Stop. This is why I'm surprised we haven't set that off more often.
I know, right?
To be fair, I purposefully don't have the wake word as Alexa, but when we talk about Alexa Bliss,
what did you say?
I must have said something that sounds like. That's the wake word. But yeah, anyway, thank you for sticking with us for an hour and 11 minutes.
Damn.
There's a lot of questions, a lot of answers, and
some tangents,
all fun stuff. We didn't really get to mention it, and it was so good, I drunk it. But top rope.
I've still got a track in there. Optimus Prime is the Top Rope Tuesday, so there's obviously an advertisement, if you will, on our social media. Absolutely delicious beer. We've been enjoying that throughout the show, and it is honestly really fresh, really nice. Fruitier than you expect. So if that's what you like in a beer, definitely the one to get. Optimus Prime.
Indeed, you can get.
And we get these new cool bottled beers now. Nice.
Yes, and you can save yourself 10% with A2theK10 promo code there. Get yourself some merch as well, pro wrestling tees, including designs for the latest ones from Alt Wrestling Tees as well. You can also
search the merch,
Instagram, and Pro Wrestling TV.
Yeah.
That's the place to be.
Yeah.
That's where we is. So if you're not there, don't check us out on there.
Yeah. Tons of fun content on there. Wrestling 24/7. Wrestling shows, indie shows, MLW being a recent signing to them. Tons of shows like ours. Maybe ones that are slightly bigger than ours, like What Culture.
Slightly.
And even some fun documentaries and stuff. Just awesome wrestling content. If you're a wrestling fan, you will enjoy Pro Wrestling TV.
Hell yeah. And obviously, if you are watching us on YouTube, we do appreciate that. If you can hit the subscribe button, we would appreciate that.
If you can't, why? What's going on?
I know, just do it, will you?
It's only there.
Why are you so awkward?
Sorry, it's only there. There you go.
But yeah, obviously, does all help. It does all, we appreciate it. But,
indeed.
Another fun-filled show. Thank you for all your questions. Big shout out to all the people who asked us questions on Instagram, whether they are content creators, whether they're just fans of the show or just followers of us.
Awesome people.
We appreciate it. And we'll make sure to give you all a shout out as well. So, yeah, thank you, one and all, and we will say goodbye.